in the grant world since 1997, when my mother started writing and reviewing federal and state grants for the state of Alabama. Let me see if this is. Can y'all see me okay? Because it's a lot of visuals going on right now.
Yeah, we
can.
You're
okay?
Good. You're fine.
Okay. And she taught me how to review grants before she taught me how to write them. And as she went up to the federal level as a reviewer, I learned more and more. And when I was in college, it was one of the things, actually, while I was still in high school, and my teachers were getting their master's degrees, it was me writing everything I could write at the time in order to just make some extra cash on the side. I had no idea it was actually a job thing. Cause as my mama put it, I thought she went to work waiting on me to call and say I made it home. I didn't know she really did anything while she was there. She sat at her desk. So I picked it up and carried the torch, and she now works with me and for me, much to her dismay, on a lot of the projects that I take on, be it large or small. I'm actually meeting with the YMCA on Monday to be their full-time grant writer. So there's a lot that goes into the process from beginning to end. I wanted to do this more as a Q&A, and then try and get an understanding as to basically what you know, what you think you know, what you want to know, and then tell you what you need to know. I know that seems backwards, but a lot of times there's stuff that we already have in our heads that will distract us from absorbing other things that are necessary, and then putting an understanding as to why processes work or don't work as they should. So if y'all would just tell me, besides you don't have to pay the money back, what other things you think of and know about as it pertains to grants, we can start there.
Who qualifies for grants and what makes them qualifiable?
Okay. All right. We can definitely go over that. That is usually your RFP, a request for proposal. We will go over that. A grant tells you whether you qualify for it or not. Essentially, if you walk up to me and ask me for $10,000, I get to tell you the reason why I will or will not do it. And if you want it, what I desire from you. That's the short version of an answer. If I say I want to invest in dogs and you want me to give you $10,000 for cats, you no longer qualify for my money.
What about business plans? Do those grants require you to have a business plan in place?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I probably do. I can tell you between October 1st and December 31st, I did 83 business plans, because everybody wanted money, but they didn't have a business plan.
Wow.
They had an LLC and a business card. I didn't understand.
Sound like myself.
Zero understanding. But we will get into that as well. What's another? Anybody?
I'll be honest with you. You have my attention, but I don't know what questions I need to ask. This is a case of I don't know what I don't know.
Gotcha. All right.
So
well,
I will listen first.
Okay.
And see what comes up. But thank you.
Oh, okay. All right.
Shayna.
Yes.
What is the best way to go about getting a grant, and what field should they have? What field should they try to qualify for to get a grant from? Because like if you trying to do, let's say, a restaurant, is there grants for restaurants? Because when we was talking, you were saying that there's not too many grants out there for trucking.
Yes, there are grants for restaurants. Yes, there are grants for trucking, but there are not too many grants for trucking. The reason why is because in the transportation industry, especially with your major truck suppliers, they have their own types of financing out there. a lot of people don't drive long enough to warrant grant money. Is the short version of that. People drive maybe a year or two max before they're either no longer eligible to hold a CDL or it's just not for them. Especially when it comes to over the road. Trucking companies have their own financing programs available and set for drivers. They're not going to buy the truck for you. But if you desire to have a certain amount of loyalty, they will say, okay, this is how we will finance you, or how we will allow for you to have what you need in order to make the money you want. And then you make the money you want, you either buy the truck you have or you buy a new one. Ever since COVID, everybody has decided that they want to drive trucks. Oh, it's transportation, shipping is behind. Driving does this, and whatever. That's fine. However, to start a trucking company and want someone to grant you money for it, when it comes to grants, it needs to benefit a community. It needs to benefit your community. You need to be showing how in some way it is going to be effective. Now, if you're getting a truck and saying, hey, I want to open a truck driving school because I'm in an area that is an opportunity zone and people don't have access to many other forms of employment or education, you could probably get a grant for that. But if you're saying, you know what, I just want to buy a truck and not get my credit together, but I want to write a banging grant proposal, they're not going to finance that. That's why a lot of grants are for nonprofits. It's not so that you have money in your pocket. It's so that your mission is funded.
That was going to be my question. Hello.
Hi, Victoria's iPad.
How are you?
Fine.
So that was going to be my question, but you just picked up on nonprofit. My husband and I, he's a contractor with 22 years in business, and he talked about opening up a school for either young guys who's come either fresh out of the place or kids that was in group homes to open an electrician school. At the same time, I've cut hair for over 20 years, been doing hair for 20 years. And then I say, well, I can cut their hair if their parents come up and pick them up and they want the haircut, 1 or 2 or 3 kids per month or something like that. Would that make a good that was going to be a nonprofit, but would that make a reason for, I guess, yeah, because you just said it, getting a grant or thinking about a grant.
So
help with the community.
Cutting their hair, or what your husband was going to be doing?
Electrician school. And
Yes.
Because I've cut hair, a lot of times if you got young folks who can't get to the barbershop at the same time, I was just going to build the way we were going to build it. We talked about building is also having where they can get the haircut if they don't make it to the barbershop that week or whatever for free. Or even with kids who are less fortunate, like disabled or something like that. There were 3 different ways we put it that we could do it, that we talked about. We wrote it out that we were doing it. So that would qualify that would be a nonprofit, but that will qualify for a grant, something like that, right? If you working for the community.
The electrician side, especially wood, and it can be actually put into your grant budget that the kids are in an underserved community or in an opportunity zone, and as attendees of the school, they will be entitled to 1 haircut a month, and it would be this much, but we're going to take this many kids, and the budget cost for that is going to be this much.
Right.
Because you're not able to put
because
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, because grants are not there to fund salaries, which is why most grants only fund 15 to 20% of what you're looking for in a salary base, and why places have so many funders and so many grants they apply for, because if you get 5 grants, you now have 100% of your salary funded.
Right. Well, we have a couple people in the house that do cut hair and stuff like that, and everybody wants to help him build stuff. So he was thinking about, we thought about, and we written it out didn't complete the plan yet, but it's still in the process. So that's a
Yeah.
good question I wanted to ask about.
Yes,
Okay.
and even for a back to school, even if you would
Mhm.
apply for a micro grant, which is usually a grant
Mhm.
under $2,000, if you apply for a micro grant, that's the same as saying, hey, for back to school and when they come back from the holidays, we want to
Mhm.
be able to offer 100 haircuts. We just need a
Mhm.
grant to be able to do that because when kids look good, they feel good, just like
Right.
they say women do.
Right.
All of a sudden you open something that they may actually feel inclined to support. So yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's great to know that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next.
I have a
Anybody
question.
else? Yes.
Okay.
Hey Denise.
Hi, love. How are you doing today?
I'm fine.
I was thinking about a grant for a call center, for a nonprofit call center.
Hmm.
Is that possible?
What is the call center going to be doing
It will
that it
be a
benefits the community?
it'll be it's basically for nonprofit, for like St. Jude, Stand Up for Cancer. What was the other ones?
You're
St.
trying
Jude,
you're
Stand
trying
Up
to
for Cancer.
service nonprofits?
Right. They start a call center and have those contracts come in, the nonprofit contracts. So I can employ uh, call centers, agents to come in and work under me. Is that possible? Can you get a grant for that? Or you have to have your own startup money for that?
As a consultant, I would say no, because you're saying I don't want to profit from this call center, but I want to have a call center that takes calls for nonprofits.
But they do
And I
have
wanna,
it where you can get a salary.
they have it where you can get a salary.
Right? There's some nonprofit organizations where you can get a salary.
Right. You get a salary, but it's in their budget. It's in their budget proposal. When you propose so basically, if you ask me for $10,000 to fund your call center, and I'm saying, how does your call center benefit the community? And you say, oh, I'm creating 50 jobs. Okay, but 50 people are getting paid out of this. You're going to put those salaries in the budget for your call center, but my $10,000 is not going to be able to pay the salaries of 50 people. So what a lot of people don't realize is the grant is not there to fund your entire organization. You have to be able to show that your event, your organization is going to be able to survive with or without that grant money, which is usually what they want to see. The other thing they want to see is that you know how to work well with other nonprofits. You know how to compromise, you know how to organize, and you know how to fraternize. You have to be able to be someone that someone else can work with. It has to be almost like a complete community circle where what you're doing not only benefits the community, but it'll benefit some of the other nonprofits that are doing good work in the community as well. What I guess I'm trying to understand about the call center is, how does your call center benefit your community outside of just creating jobs? Like, what's the change that it's creating? Hello?
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Okay.
Only thing I could think of is the jobs.
Okay.
It will create jobs.
Okay.
So that wouldn't qualify me.
Not, ooh, that is a communication grant would be nice, but they're definitely going to want more depth. It is very, very shallow. It is very much sounding like a for-profit and not a non-profit. Now, there are grants out there for for-profit businesses. However, they're still going to want a little more substance to it. You know, like, what is the money going toward? And a lot of it, when some post-COVID, a lot of grants, when we think of startup, they're helping with social media. They're helping make sure that you are properly set up. They're helping with coaching. They're helping. So they're using $10,000 worth of service as opposed to $10,000. And that sounds like you would be kind of set up in the service realm of them helping you get set up more so than them giving you money, because there's not anything that your nonprofit is teaching or developing or growing or instituting as far as change or even function for a community. Now, if you were to say, by the way, never ever change your business for a grant. Find a grant that fits. But if you were to say, I want a call center for, I don't know, Indeed and ZipRecruiter to be able to patch, I really don't know how a call center could benefit a community, because most times the job turnover is too fast. People just don't stay. That'd be something I have to think on. That's a good one, Denise. I have to think on how a call center could benefit a community, because I live in a town with a call center, actually two, and they're AT&T call centers. They start off paying a bunch of money, but nobody stays. It is somewhere where someone goes for a quick job, but they make what they have to make and then they leave. You know, by the time you start adding incentives and all the other kind of stuff and all the lines, that'd be tough. That'd be a tough sell, but it's something I'm definitely now willing to work on to see how could a call center benefit a community and not leave a shell of a building in that community where it becomes an eyesore. Because that's usually what ends up happening. But I'll think on it.
So Shayna, I got a question.
Thank
What
you.
You're welcome.
So what if you wanted to do open up a truck company that hire ex-felons, ex-cons to get them back on the right path? Would that be something where you can try to like get a grant for? Because that's helping the community, because you're giving somebody a fresh start.
But you're not teaching them truck driving, are you?
No, basically giving them, okay.
Yeah, you're not giving them something that's transferable. So the reason why a truck driving school would get funded by a grant is because they are literally teaching a skill that can benefit a community. They're teaching skills, which is why one of the reasons, why the federal government decided if you want to drive trucks, you got to go to CDL school. Because where I live, you could just, before February, you could have just gone to the office and been like, hey, drop that CDL on my good license. Thank you. And I have a clue. But CDL doesn't automatically mean over the road either. However, you are teaching a skill that will benefit and change the trajectory of the community. Now, as far as hiring felons go, most trucking companies, I think, do that. That's a tax incentive. That's not necessarily something for a grant. They would probably still do it depending on the population of the area you're trying to help.
Okay.
Rural grants would probably be more apt to do that.
Okay.
But even still, it's because you're creating a skill that is transferable.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Thomas, I saw you.
Yeah, tell us about how we can get government contracts.
Okay, to get government contracts, you'd have
Yeah.
to become SBA certified,
Mhm.
and you'd have to bid on them and win. So when you are looking at SBA contracts, government contracts, it's like getting federal grant money. You
Mhm.
have to make sure every dot is over every I and every line is over every T. When I get someone SBA certified, be it minority business certified, women-owned business certified, 7A or 8A certification,
I know what
it
you
is
mean.
definitely saying they have turned in all paperwork, all banking is legit. If they were to bid on a project, they will be able to do it, because the second you're not, you cannot go backwards. You file it up one time, they may give you 3, and then you're out of there. They're not going to waste time with even allowing you to bid anymore. But first, you gotta have a business plan. You know why?
Yeah.
Because you're still asking them to pay you, and you saying you're good at a skill and you don't have a plan that says so. Honestly, like I tell people, the business plan comes right after the idea. Even if you don't have a name, you can go back and fill in the blanks. But the plan is A1, because not only does it show them that you have a direction, it turns you around if you take the wrong direction. So when you do that, your next thing could be, okay, I want to bid on government contract, because you bid on them. You don't just automatically get them.
I understand.
You say, hey, I can do it for this much with this many people. And I've run into a situation where 2 people had to work together because one person, it's like spades. One person overbid the hand, they were about to take an L. And you don't want to do that at all.
No.
And they had to call in someone else and end up splitting the money on the payout. I right now I've had for the last 6 years, I've had a contract with the CB base here, which is the Coast Guard base here, with writing their job descriptions. And my bid was low because they're not that hard. A lot of the words are redundant. However, they upped me to the person above me's bid, and I just been contracted since then. They may send me 3 or 4 a year. So, but they were able to see my work. You know, there's work that went before me saying, okay, not only is she an enterprise, she is, certified as a woman-owned business. I went through the rigmarole of giving them all of my information and all the paperwork, and it can seem like a lot. It is a lot, but you ask for these folks' money.
Yeah.
And you know how we do people for $20 on gas. How far you going, baby? A gallon is $3.19. Why you need 20? So it's the same thing.
I was looking at it from the logistics standpoint. I saw something on one of the shows like Truck and Hustle, and this lady she got a government contract, started out small, and then she got another one in advance. And she had a truck that hauled lumber to the Navy bases and the military bases. So that's what I was thinking about from that edge of logistic wise.
Because honestly, once you get in and you've done a good job on these government contracts, once you get one, they don't have a problem. They call you back. Yeah, they have to post it, but they already know who they're going for. And just like with grants, you're able to say, so after a grant is over and after a government contract is over, you have to do a thing called reporting. They got to see every dime, every quarter, every receipt. They've got to see every the measurables, which is very, very important. They have to see that you accomplish the goal. What are the pictures? Where's the number in attendance? Blah, blah, blah. For whatever your events and fundraisers and all that stuff was. What did your event do? or in the case of government contracting, how pleased were they with what you did? And then you come up for renewal.
Okay.
And they sit around and decide whether they're going to award you again, whether they're going to award you what you asked for. You may, I try and keep the number around. Let's say $10,000. You apply for a $10,000 grant. They may only give you $2,500. They want to see how good you are. Same thing with a government contract. They may make you a subcontractor on the grant, and you're underneath another contractor that they trust and know. That person is going to say yay or nay on your behavior and your business and all of that. And then that's how it goes forward. So you got to do good business. Sorry, y'all. My dog is acting weird. I'm listening. I'm back.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying. I was looking for more on the logistics standpoint. You know, maybe calling somebody. Once I get a truck, it may be a box truck, it may be another truck, and just start from there. Because I've heard of people just going by toilet tissue and taking it and drop it off somewhere. You know, go to
That's all they needed.
That was all they needed, and that was government contract. So that's more what I'm looking at.
It was all they needed.
Government contract.
See a need, fill a need. And that's literally how it works in government contracts and grant funding. See a need, fill a need. What is the need that you're fulfilling? All right, well, we'll pay you for it.
Okay.
Now, the difference between your government contracts and your grants is in your government contracts, they're paying you for a service. And in the grant world, you're asking for somebody to give you money to fund the service you want to provide.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm good. I'll wait. I'm gonna hire you. We already talked about that. I'm gonna hire you, so I'm good.
I'm tough. Don't let this smile fool you.
Okay.
Anybody else before I go into the goods and bads and uglies?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm sorry I'm late for the meeting. This is Sharon.
Hey, Sharon.
Hi there. Hi, everybody.
Do you have any thoughts or ideas on grants or questions about grants?
Not right now. I just logged on a few seconds ago, so I kind of caught the tail end here. So I'm gonna just proceed on, and maybe later I have questions.
Okay. All right. Well, let me start with let's see here. I just shut the laptop down. I try not to fight with machinery. My first thing today was going to be the basics of a grant. So a grant has several parts. A lot of people ask me, Sheena, can you find me a grant? Yes, I can. Grant research is not free. It's not cheap. It's not easy. I'm literally scouring the internet to find opportunities for you to apply for. Grants have seasons. As a business owner, if I'm going to be granting an organization anything, I decide when the grant opens and when it closes. That means that during this period is the only time that you can apply. There are some grants where they say you can only apply if you're being invited, to which you have to figure out how to get invited. There are some grants that open at the same time every year or open in the same month every year. There are some that are always open. Most of your federal grants have dates, but there are some that they're always open. They're always willing to read over your grant. Usually they have a review team on board at all times. There are things called RFPs, RFIs, and RFEs. An RFP is a request for proposal. Basically, you're asking them to marry your business. Can you marry my business and support it by providing X amount of dollars? There's an RFI that is a request for information. They want to know about your business, or they want you to tell them about your business, and they want to see everything that you have. And the RFE is more about education. And hey, baby, don't do that. The RFE is more about education, and they want to know how, why it works, how it works. They sound the same, but they are not. They're going to have different types of information on there. When applying for a grant, I am not a grant writer. I am a proposal writer. I am a grant writer when I am the one that is writing for the person that has the money. I am a proposal writer when I am the one that's writing for the person that wants the money. There's a difference in that. And the main reason that it's a big difference is because, can you stop, please? Is because one of those is actually going to decide who gets that money. And the language is written differently. The other thing that is one of the basics of grant writing is understanding timeliness and reading everything through, planning and being prepared. Grants are written in stages. Proposals are written in stages. It should be planned out exactly how you're going to do it or who's going to do what so that it is put together and turned in on time. If it is not turned in on time, they never read it. And you may never hear from them again, and you may never be invited to apply for that grant. Also, can y'all see me?
Yes,
Yep.
I can.
All right. I was looking at my things that I put together and I couldn't see myself. Okay. Also, you want to try and apply for something at least a week to 2 weeks early. That way, in case you left something out, you're able to put it back into your packet, especially when it comes to federal grants. You do not want to have an incomplete grant packet, and you do not want to be late. It is a direct reflection of you, and they do hold it against you. You also don't want to be an over communicator. When it comes to an RFP, they know exactly what they want and what they ask for. They ask for 2,000 words, do not give them 2001. Sometimes now the system will cut you off for 2,000 and or they will throw it out. They won't read past it. They do not care. If they ask for photos of this and you give them pictures of that and those, they will throw it out. They will not read it. They do not care. You have to follow everything to the letter when you are applying for a grant. They know how much time they have. They know what they're looking for. You do not. So you want to always only provide what they're looking for, because you may actually in the process overshare something that they're not interested in or don't like, and they will put you out of the process. Sorry, my dog is on the edge. They do not care. Dogs do not care what you have going on. Also, when you are applying for a grant, you do not want to be the person that calls all of the time. It makes you look incompetent. I have a client right now that I was applying for a grant for them, and I asked them for their Sam's number. They literally tried to give me their Sam's Club number. I kid you not. And it is a well-formed organization. However, the person that used to do the grants for them is no longer with them. So they were unable to locate the numbers that they needed. They took it upon themselves to call the person putting the, that's over the grants to say, hey, we don't have it. We're gonna submit without it. What can we do? The girl gave clear instructions. However, she had already given them to me because I had been in communication with her. At the end of the grant, it asked that I sign it as a preparer and that one person from the organization signed. I sent it. That person did not sign it, but the grant was submitted. I didn't know on my end because the grant was already submitted. When I asked about the signature, she said, oh, I didn't sign it. Let me call her and tell her I'm gonna to resend me the email so that I can sign it. I asked her not to do that. She did it anyway. And let's just say the $5,000 that they were requesting, they're not gonna get. And I already found out that they're not gonna get it. So now they are left funding their entity and their project with their own money or whatever the organization has, simply because she made herself look incompetent, or she showed little faith in her grant writer, which also will make you look incompetent if you are discussing it with the person that is reading and reviewing it. So that's the abbreviated nuts and bolts of the basics of grant writing. The second thing is how to search for grants. The entire internet belongs to you. You want to find organizations and foundations that believe in the same thing you believe in and are funding those types of activities. Yes, you can go to grants.gov. That means you're applying for federal money. Yes, you can go to Walmart, you can go to Target, you can go to all of those because they donate to community ideas. However, I like to have my clients apply for private money through actual foundations that are actually doing the work and investing in those areas. They will take more of a vested interest and also more of a risk in financing. They are unapologetic about their cause and they raise money to support it. I don't really care for federal grants. There's a lot of oversight when it comes to federal grants. And a lot of times, depending on what the business is, I deter my clients from applying for grants, especially the ones that I know may be a little flighty or a little unprepared or don't like to be overwhelmed with oversight, because grants come with a lot of oversight, a lot of checks and balances, a lot of strings attached. You are jumping through a lot of hoops and a lot of red tape to get someone's money, which is not absurd. It makes plenty sense. But if you're not interested in doing it, then a grant is not for you, because they will send someone down and finance someone to come and look at every single thing you do at any random time, or maybe just even at the end of what it is you're trying to do or have done, to decide whether they want to fund you again. Whereas if you situate yourself to get a loan, you can do whatever you want with it and lose absolutely nothing, because if the interest starts after 6 months, if you paid it off in 6 months, you haven't lost anything and you started your business sooner. You've also gotten everything you needed in order to do the next thing. So I encourage my clients to always get themselves together and position themselves for a loan over a grant, unless they have really, really clear goals and aspirations to do what is necessary in order to get a grant more than one time. Topic 3, how to navigate a request for proposal. Take an RFP, which is what most of them have, one section at a time and plan it out. The same way you used to do in school, where you put note cards or you had a 5-subject notebook with the scientific method and each section was going to be filled with that. You want to do the same thing when it comes to a grant proposal, because you do not want to miss a step, miss a document, or say the wrong thing and having meant something else. You later down the line get an email that says, well, we didn't choose you or you didn't score high enough because blah, blah, blah. Because that's how it's done. At the end of all the reading and all the reviewing, they put their scorecards together and they award the people with the highest scores. I forgot what the question was earlier about an RFP. Man. But the RFP is important because it legitimately tells you every single thing about the organization, their interests, what they want to see, what they don't want to see, who qualifies, who doesn't qualify. Sometimes they'll put out just a fact sheet, but a lot of times that's in the first 3 to 5 pages. And RFP sometimes can be 60 something pages. And yes, as a grant writer, we're going to use that term today, I have to read every single page. And I'm accountable for everything that they've asked for. So when it comes back that you did or did not receive that grant, the only way to know if you hired a bad grant writer is if they did not provide what the organization was actually asking for. An RFP has a lot of sections. Hold on one second. Let me go to my I had it here. Has a lot of sections. The sections will be about special asks, submission information, and formatting requirements. Those are the primary parts of an RFP. Formatting is especially important because, again, they know exactly how they want to read it. Submission information, how they want to submit it. They may want it by mail. They may want it electronically. You have no way of knowing that if you do not read the RFP. You know, it may need to have a postmark date on it. There's no telling exactly what they may be asking for, and you want to be sure that you are providing exactly what they're asking for at that time in that particular document. It is not for the faint of heart, but you can do some of it yourself because they are not all created equal. I may be somebody that wants to donate $10,000 and just want you to apply. I may be somebody that wants to donate $10,000 and wants you to jump through hoops. Same thing goes for $2,000. It's sometimes the larger ones require less of you. But you have to be a business that is already well put together. Your website needs to be informative. Your social media needs to be informative, up to date, looking good, because sometimes they'll do the work themselves. So you want to make sure that you are always in a position to have your best foot and best face forward when it comes to applying for grant and other funds. And as far as the special ask section goes, they may say, we don't mind you building a playground, but we want you to make sure that you have this particular type of monkey bars in your playground. And they can say that because that may be one of their largest donors that they're giving money to you for. So you want to be sure that when you're writing in that RFP, or when you're writing your grant proposal, that when you saw that in the RFP, you're perfectly okay with putting that particular type of monkey bar slide on the playground. Mostly because they're going to come check for it. And they may even ask you for a picture of it. When they ask about timelines and things like that, they are very, very serious about those things. That is why a lot of people do not get funded, because they do not follow through or they do not follow up. And some people end up in legal trouble simply because they do not do what they said that they were going to do. And that is a federal crime when it comes to grant money, whether you're getting federal money or not. God, I feel like I'm just dumping information on y'all, because if I were doing a face-to-face, we'd have a notebook. Let's see. Is everybody understanding me so far? I know I'm doing a lot of moving. If I don't get this dog situated, he's gonna bark the whole time.
Yep, this is great. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So the next thing is gonna be reporting. Reporting. You are going to have to be able to keep good records. You got to. Here, babe. I have to take care of the neighbor's dog sometimes. Come on. You got to keep good records. You have to keep record of everything that you said you were going to do, because they're going to look for it. They're going to ask for it. In some cases, one of the special asks in the RFP, or I'm sorry, let's go back. Say you get chosen and it comes down to reporting. Now, if you're just starting out, or if you're too small, or you're too new, They may tell you they want you to partner with another organization. You have to find an organization that you are willing to work with, that you don't mind knowing what's going on in your organization, and that you know you're going to be able to collaborate with. If you do not, you are going to have a problem with accepting or even getting that money, because one of their requirements is that we want to make sure that the money is done well and that you have a better understanding of what it takes in order to get and keep our money to fund and finance whatever it is that you're trying to do. So when you are working with someone else, they may be what's called a pass-through. That means the grantsman has decided, hey, we want to fund you, we want to finance you, but you're going to have to get your money through someone else. And that person is going to have access to all of your financials at all times. They're going to be who you go to request money, to pick up checks, even if it's payroll. They're going to basically be the one that eases you, but at the same time, it's a bit uncomfortable because that other organization has access to your money. So when you're looking at these things, always have in mind someone you wouldn't mind being your pass-through for your grant, because when it comes time for reporting, they're also going to be responsible for what is reported, just like you are. It can be tricky, especially if there's a nonprofit that is floundering when it comes to money, and they may misuse yours. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say it does not happen. They may misuse your money. Don't sign off on anything for your organization that you don't understand or don't know, your business or your organization, because then you become liable for it. Keep track of everything so that when it comes time for reporting, you're either eligible for renewal or you're eligible for upgrade. The example that I gave you of the $5,000 grant that went wrong, they were eligible for an upgrade. That organization that they wanted money from does not allow people to go straight to the top with requests. They make them start from the small grant and work their way up the ladder, even though it's not an invitation only grant. Topic 6, evaluation. Have someone, and I do it for a lot of them, that is going to be honest with you when it comes to evaluating your business, because the grantsman is going to want the same evaluation. Whoever is writing your grant needs to be able to report and be able to evaluate, because they need to be able to say, hey, we got money left, which is a no-no, by the way, in the grant world. You have got to spend that money. You don't spend it, you get less next time, because obviously you didn't need it. So don't overplay your hand. But that doesn't mean you get to buy the chicken and the sodas at an event. It means that you may have to spend more on something else. It doesn't say just spend it because we have that money left. Somebody should be able to evaluate that before reporting is due and tell you what is going on. Trying to think. One of the other general things to remember when it comes to a grant and grant writing is that you don't know who you're competing against. Could be 4, could be 40, could be 400, could be 4,000. So you have to remember that a grant is literally a story. You're writing a story about your business that you want someone to read. And you want them in the end to want to finance your business. So a storyteller is what a grant writer is what a proposal writer is. They have to be able to weave it with words, and persuasion that makes the person on the other end feel compelled to want to finance you. I used to tell people, my mama used to say I had a great imagination, and that I could lie on, at any moment and create an entire story. Makes me a great grant writer. Not the lie part, but the fact that I know how to write something out to where you can get a clear picture as to what is going on and what will go on if this company or organization is financed. That is fantastic. And that is why the call center thing flummoxes me, because for once, even my imagination can't say this is what a call center can do in order to benefit a community. And that's really bothering me, like really bothering me. Also, when you're hiring a writer, have your money saved up for what your fee may be, because that person does not get paid out of the grant. All right, let me explain that, because it's a common misconception. Well, what if I don't get it? It doesn't mean that the grant writer did something wrong. It means that the reviewers chose not to go with you. And again, you don't know what your competition was. Some organizations will tell you where you messed up or just where you didn't score high enough, and some won't. Some will just tell you that we decided to go in another direction. That is not necessarily the fault of the writer. They have done their job and they have done the work. And a lot of times you have no idea what has gone into getting that grant put together, that proposal put together. Now, should you get the grant, if a grant writer or proposal writer is worth their salt, they have included what their fee would be in order to write again, be it for you, for that grant, or for any other grant. So that means now they actually can get paid from the grant because you included their salary, or not their salary, their fee, because it's called a professional fee, even on your taxes. You've included their fee in your budget. This is somebody you want to keep on board if you win that grant. So you only have to come out of your pocket one time. But you do have to pay them every time that they write the grant. So if you see something that you want to apply to, just start putting your money to the side. Ask them what's their deposit. Ask them if they have a payment plan that they use. Ask all of the questions, because they're about to go into sometimes an unknown world and they don't know your business like you know your business. They don't have the same attachment. They don't have the same passion. They don't have the same drive. They just know that they have to figure out how to convince people that they don't know to fund something that they really don't know about until they finish, for someone that they don't know, unless they happen to know you.
I'm sorry.
Fine.
Can I ask a question? So I need a little clarity on that. So if you get I don't want to use the right term, proposal writer, the first time around, you pay them out of pocket.
That's correct.
The next time you ask them to write for you, you should have that worked into your budget.
If they're writing. So when you put your budget together, which is very, very important in grant writing, you need to include that in your professional fees. You know, you may want to put $5,000 to the side for any type of professional anything, so that you're not paying out of pocket to pay that person for their work. Because after you get through the reporting stage and evaluation stage, those organizations will invite you to apply for the grant again, unless it's a one-time grant, because there are some one-time grants. But even still, you can put them in the budget, so that when it comes time for that, you're not trying to find, $2,000 or $3,000 to pay your grant writer with. It's already there. The money's already there. It's been provided so that they can be paid and write the proposal again. Because this time, after the evaluation and the reporting, you're not writing the full proposal again. You're writing what we're doing next, like a business plan. What does your next 2 to 5 years look like? Most grants span over 2 years, maybe 3, some are 5. So if you got, using round numbers again, $10,000, they're essentially going to give you $5,000 a year. It's
Got it.
10,000 over 2 years.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Another thing about your writer that you choose, you need to be able to work with them because they do your reporting, they do your evaluation, and they do the writing. If you fall out with them, you stand a strong chance of them not putting their A game on and making sure you get funded. I know, sounds bad, but I am definitely one that's going to give you the ins and outs of how that works. You and your grant person are a team. You supply them with the tools they need in order to build your business. If you hired a great person, it will be easy peasy and a piece of cake. If you did not, it's gonna feel like every time you turn around, they're asking for something. That means that they didn't plan it properly, and or you agreed to something that was not planned properly. It could be on either party. So you want to make sure when you're hiring someone to do that type of work that they're able to walk through it and explain it to you. They should also let you see it once it's finished. Because if you looked at the RFP and saw what was needed and desired, you should be able to go back through that document and pull out each part where they did exactly what was asked of them and make sure that they represented your company properly. Trying to think of what else. With nonprofits, everybody wants to be the CEO. Have mercy. Let me go into that real fast. You have to either be on the board or be the CEO. As the CEO, you're going to have a salary. That's real nice. That's fun. However, that board can vote you out of your own organization, and you'll be stuck just going down in history as the founder. So you have to decide, where are you most efficient? Where are you most effective? Where are you there for status? Are you there to make something happen? And how you want to be a part of that. You know, do you have to be the CEO? That means that you're involved in the day-to-day happenings of the business. Or do you want to be on the board that says, that's not the direction I want this to go in, and I'm voting against it? Because the board, a lot of times, is judge and jury. And they can hire your replacement. And I'm strictly talking to people looking at nonprofits. Also looking at nonprofits, what's another thing I run into all the time? Oh, when you're doing your bylaws, make sure it's something that you want to abide by. Don't just let somebody write generic bylaws for you. Don't let them, don't write bylaws that you're going to have to amend because your board is going to have to vote on the amendment and they may not agree with what you're trying to change. If you say you're going to meet every quarter and you go to applying for a grant, they're going to want to see your meeting notes. I'm just telling you off the top, they're going to want to see it every single time. How often did you meet? Bye, Regina. And I'm trying to think of one other nonprofit thing that I see in here all the time. Your board needs to be an odd number of people, no more than one family member. They will turn on you too, but also an odd number board means that you will not have to worry about there having to be somebody to coerce one way or the other in your thoughts. It won't ever be even when they vote. And that's just, bonus tips on a nonprofit. Anybody have anything? I call myself making that short and sweet. I guess I didn't.
I do have a question. I have a sister-in-law who is, I don't know, director or whatever of 3 different children agencies, and she's constantly looking for grants. Is there a chance I can get your contact information and hand it off to her? I mean, I can't promise she's going to call you, but at least I can give her the information.
Absolutely. For everybody, my name is Sheena, Sheena. Last name is Miles, Myles. The name of my company is Fluorescent, Fluorescent, Creative Consulting. You'll see it's got little giraffes on it on Facebook with fluorescent colored dots. And my telephone number is 228-238-7040. And my email address is no more beige, NOMOREBEIGE @yahoo.com. Yes, I will put it in the chat. But yes, she can call me. She can at least, it may be something where I can rattle off a grant for her to look at if she writes her own, Dusty.
Yeah, I greatly appreciate this. She'll also greatly appreciate it because she's constantly doing these kind of things, and she's got the biggest heart in the world for children.
It's tough. It's tough. It's tough, but there is so much money out there, especially for children's organizations, that it would be man, like if you have property at all, the USDA always has money for things. Like always.
Does it matter what state she's in?
No.
Okay.
No. It absolutely does not.
Well, thank you very much.
While I put this in the chat, you're very welcome. Anyone else?
Not so far.
I'm putting all this info in chat while I wait on y'all's questions.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is it a myth that minorities and women got a better chance of getting a grant?
That is a myth.
Okay.
The reason why that is popular is because minorities and women tend to be underserved and underfinanced in the for-profit world, because a lot of times they do not make enough money in order to privately fund, finance, or get approved for financing. There are a lot of organizations where a man will put his wife as the majority owner so that they can qualify for funding. And then on the surface, it looks like, why does he always get the funding? Because his wife is on paper as the majority owner, so therefore they qualify.
Okay. Teresa got a question.
Go ahead, Teresa.
Sorry, it's Teresa like a tree.
Oh, Teresa. Hey, Teresa.
Hey. So my question is, I'm more interested because I don't think I will be able to apply for a grant based on my business model right now, but I'm more interested in learning more about your process on writing business plans.
Okay. Why do you first thing? Why do you think you want to apply? Because of the way your business is set up right now.
So the two main businesses that I have right now is building my dispatching business. And then the second one is I do transaction coordination for real estate agents. So I just don't see where I'm like at this point giving back to the community. I am on a board for something totally different. So I kind of understood what you were saying when you were talking about it has to be valuable to the community. So right now, I don't think either of those would qualify.
The transaction coordination, what are you doing?
When agents get contract, when they put their client under contract, they send the contract to me. Right now I work primarily with EXP agents. So I go into their compliance system, make sure they have all the documents, all the I's are dotted, T's are crossed. And then I'm in communication with the client on updates and, letting them know how to prepare for closings and things of that nature.
Now, you do know.
I don't know.
You could actually still put yourself in the position to be funded from an educational standpoint. And you could be like some of these other people that are out here homeownering us to death. On the nonprofit side, you assisting people with understanding the process shows that you are teaching a certain certain group of people how they can become homeowners. And to a bank, that's probably a good thing.
Okay.
It may be something where you're saying, hey, I want to be the exclusive business that trains would-be homeowners on the homeowners process. Starting from, yes, I like the house and we want to make a bid, and putting up their earnest money. It may not be a big grant, it may be $2,000. But let's be honest, if we're looking at it from a business standpoint, what's your overhead? You can go to their home, you can go sit with them at work, you can go, they can come to your office.
Right.
You just got paid to do it.
Right.
So yeah, don't knock yourself out of it. You just may have a different approach to it. And now you don't just work for EXP, you work for the community, finding them the opportunity that works best for them, with them understanding the process.
Oh, that's a great idea. But and that would be for prospective home buyers. It wouldn't just be to real estate agents on the process. Because that's what would really make it.
Why not?
Okay. I would like this.
Because in the end, the measurable part says, which is the most important part, what you would put on the your reason for doing it, what you would put on your reporting, is that 15 people came every time you did it, or you assisted this many people with the money.
Gotcha.
And you having documents and things printed up, that's what you spent the money on. And of course your travel. And you may give them a $100 incentive if they complete your course. Your goal may be only to do 50 a year. Well, there's your $5,000 right there.
Right.
You have officially qualified for your money and reported it accordingly and did what you said you were going to do. And you made a difference in the process. Because I can tell you, as a first-time homeowner, the process to me was very overwhelming. Like, I found my place in April. I didn't close until August.
Yeah.
I cried a lot. I turned in the same documentation 48 times. Okay, it may have been 12, but the exaggeration felt like to me.
Right.
I never want to buy another house, and I keep being told it's easier the second time around. Well, baby, I'm burned on the first. So until you want to scrape me like toast, you got to take the burn off before I do it ever again. But my goal was to pay off my house in 5 years, so they probably looked at me crazy anyway.
Right. So before we go into the business plan part, so when you do like this brainstorming with individuals, if they want to elaborate on it more, do they set up consultations with you? How does that work? Okay.
Yes, I'm on the phone all day.
Okay. Okay.
I'm on the phone all day long.
So would you be able to share the process for working with you to get a business plan done? Just
yes.
Honestly,
my business plan situation is really simple. I keep it real simple. I break the payments down into 4s. You pay a deposit to hold my time and attention to me answering every single time you call. And once you have gotten to 80% of what the fee is, I will send you a questionnaire with 19 to 21 questions on it. You answer them as best you can. And then I go and I do all of the research to create you a 25 to 30 page investor ready business plan. Now, if you're not trying to get money from anyone, like a grant or a loan, You may not want an investor-ready business plan. You may want something more simple and just want the guidance. You may want a shorter business plan. And essentially the process works the same way. I understand that it is costly. And I understand that in certain communities, we just don't have that sitting around, which is why I break it down into 4 payments. Apparently we like that. Afterpay, Klarna, all of those people, quad pay. So 4 was a good number. And there's usually a 60 to 90 day way that I'll stretch out those 4 payments, but I'm usually done with a business plan in 4 to 7 days.
Great, thank you for that. I definitely will be reaching out to see how I can work with you. Thank you so much for your time.
You are very, very welcome. Very well. I'm not doing anything on a Friday night.
Sheena,
Yeah.
my wife have a question. She want to know if daycares and after school programs and teaching kids Spanish is something that you can write a grant for.
Yes.
She said yes.
The funding comes in them learning outside of what the traditional reason of the business is. So teaching them Spanish, shoot, for that matter, teaching Spanish children English. It is an extracurricular activity that can be funded. As far as the daycare goes, there's a lot of government money out there that doesn't require you to get a grant, that supplements the parents and the organization. So I wouldn't spend the money applying for a grant for that. I would spend the money applying for a grant for food to feed them. Gotta make sure you're getting it in there right where it taps on the heartstrings. But you can write a question, you can write a grant that says, write for a grant that says, hey, I want to keep my daycare open later for my parents that work later, but I also realize the kids need more than just lunch and a snack because a lot of them go home and they don't really get meals. And I need them. And it's going to take people this long to prepare the food. It's going to cost this much. We need food. And I've got to pay those people.
Okay. Thank you. I don't know why she's shy, but thank you.
I know, like she hadn't talked to me before.
I know, right?
Anybody else? Going twice. Well, you have my contact information. Feel free to reach out to me. Feel free to hit my inbox at any time. I have multiple businesses, so I am up usually all night. You can still text me in the morning early, 5, 6, 7, 8, because I don't want you to forget what you wanted to tell me or forget what you wanted to ask me. I just may not answer it until like 9 or 10. And again, I might be up and I might answer it right then. So I am very much a communicator, and I do not have a problem asking or answering questions. And if anybody wants to reach out to me, just let me know. My personal inbox, the business inbox, it doesn't matter which one. I'm good for it.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're very well. Hi, Kevin. Did you have a question?
No, just saying thank you.
I just knew I hadn't called your name before. I don't even know who I was still on here. Well, y'all have a good weekend, a great weekend. The weather should be great, unless you live somewhere where it's not. And just
Bobby, you got a
contact me if you
question?
need to.
No, I just wanted to thank her. Came in kind of late.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Bobby.
Hey.
I got here kind of late too.
Yes, thank you so much for your time and all the information. I will be in touch. You have a great
Okay, you're very welcome. Y'all have a great weekend.
Okay,
Thank you,
Sheena, thank
Sheena,
you.
for doing
And
that for me.
Sheena, I believe our daughter, her name is Sheena. She's going to be giving you a call to get a little bit more information.
Yes, I love talking to Sheena.
Okay. Hey, Sheena, thank you for doing that for me. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome, Thomas. I look forward to talking to you.
Thank you,
Okay.
Sheena, again.
All right, you're very welcome. Y'all have a good weekend.
You too.
Thank you. Have a great one.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
All righty, y'all.